Welcome to StaalX Construction and Steel Podcast. Episode 17, Construction Backlogs are down, confidence is up, what gives? The global steel market moves fast. To stay ahead, you need more than just data, you need a partner. Support for today's episode comes from StaalX. We're redefining steel trading through transparency, technology, and global reach. From the job site to the boardroom, StaalX delivers the strength your projects demand. Visit StaalX.com to learn more. Now, let's get into the market.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It's February 16th, 2026. And if you've been looking at the economic headlines this morning, you might be feeling a little confused. The signals are just all over the place.
Confused is putting it mildly. It's like one report is telling you to prepare for a recession, and the next one is saying we're in a boom.
Exactly. And that's the riddle we're tackling today. We've got construction data that seems to be screaming, slow down. Backlogs are at a 4-year low.
Right. The pipeline of future work is shrinking.
But at the same time, contractor confidence is through the roof. They're shockingly optimistic.
Shockingly sanguine was the phrase that jumped out at me.
Sanguine, cheerful, for less work. It just doesn't add up. So today we're going to connect the dots between three seemingly unrelated sources to solve this puzzle.
First up is that construction report from the Associated Builders and Contractors, the ABC report.
Then we're going to look at the massive gorilla in the room, Alphabet's historic $32 billion bond sale.
And finally, we'll see how all that plays out in the real world with the steel market report from StaalX. It all ties together.
It's a paradox of concrete, confidence, and capital. So let's start with that first piece, the ABC report. What's the headline number that's causing all this confusion?
The main number is the construction backlog indicator. In January, it fell to just 8.0 months.
8 months. And that's down from December.
Yeah, down 0.2 months, and more importantly, it's the lowest it's been in 4 years.
Okay, so just to be clear, when we say backlog, we're not talking about like paperwork on a desk.
No. This is signed contracts, it's guaranteed future revenue, it's work that is legally locked in.
So if your guaranteed work is hitting a 4-year low, you should be panicking.
You should be. Historically, this is a major warning sign, but the report's construction confidence index, it's actually up.
Up.
Way up. Expectations for sales, for profits, for staffing, they're all in growth territory. Get this, only 13% of contractors expect their sales to decrease in the next 6 months.
13%. That's nothing.
It's the lowest number of pessimists we've seen since February of 2022.
Wow. And 2022 was a totally different world economically speaking. So what is going on? Is this just, mass delusion?
It's not delusion, but it is a split reality. You have to look beneath the surface of that average number. When you break it down by company size, the story becomes clear.
Oh, okay. So it's a tale of two cities.
It's a classic tale of two cities. The backlog is actually rising for the really big contractors. We're talking firms with over $50 million in annual revenue.
And for the smaller guys?
It's falling, and falling sharply. The big fish are eating well, and the little fish are starting to starve.
So that confidence number is really being driven by the giants who are landing these massive projects.
Precisely. And that brings us to the why. What kind of projects are so big that only a handful of companies can even bid on them?
Well, it's not office buildings.
Definitely not office buildings, no. It's big tech. And that transitions us perfectly to our second source, which is really the key to this whole thing. We have to talk about Alphabet.
Google's parent company.
Mm-hmm.
While the average builder is watching their work dry up, Alphabet went to the bond market and raised what was it, $32 billion.
$32 billion in a single sale. It's a number that's just hard to even process.
But the craziest part isn't just the amount. It's the terms, the duration.
The 100-year bond.
100 years. They are borrowing money that's not due until the year 2126.
I mean, it's an incredible statement. It says, 1, we plan on being a dominant force for the next century. And 2, the market completely agrees.
And what was the interest rate on that? Because that's been the killer for so many other projects.
They got that 100-year money for 6.125%.
That is just, it's unbelievably cheap. You can't get a 30-year home mortgage for that right now if you have perfect credit.
Not even close. So Alphabet can borrow money for a century cheaper than a normal business can borrow for a year.
But why? I mean, they're sitting on a mountain of cash. Why do they even need to borrow $32 billion?
because they are building the physical reality of AI. We think of the cloud as, something ethereal. It's not. It's made of steel, concrete, silicon, and just enormous amounts of energy.
So this is for infrastructure.
This is a war chest for infrastructure. Their plan for capital expenditure for CapEx in 2026 alone is $185 billion.
$185 billion.
Which is almost double what they spent last year. And it's all going into data centers, GPUs, and even on-site power plants to run it all.
And that explains the split in the ABC report perfectly.
Completely. You can't hire a small local company to build a $600 million data center.
Right.
Only the biggest of the big can handle that. And the numbers back it up. Data center construction starts hit, $77 billion in 2025? A 190% increase.
That's speeding up. Over half of that was just in the last 3 months of the year.
It's an explosion. So that sanguine confidence we talked about, it's not confidence in the broad economy. It's confidence that Google, Microsoft, and Meta are going to keep writing billion-dollar checks.
It's a total pivot. Tech used to be asset light. Now they're becoming heavy industry.
They are. They're becoming infrastructure companies. Which brings us to our third source. Because if you have hundreds of billions of dollars chasing physical materials...
It's got to do something to the price of those materials,
right,
like steel.
And that's exactly what the StaalX report shows. Based on the backlog drop alone, you'd think steel prices would be soft, less demand, lower prices.
But that's not what's happening.
Not at all. Prices are moving up. Scrap prices jumped $30 a ton in early February.
Okay.
Nucor just announced a $30 increase on wire rods. And some mills are trying to push through a $60 a ton hike on beams.
$60 a ton. Ouch. That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal, and the report says it directly. General demand isn't great, but it's being propped up specifically by AI infrastructure projects and data center builds.
So the AI boom is putting a floor under the entire steel market.
It's the floor, yes. But there's also a squeeze coming from the supply side that's making things worse.
You're talking about the new tariffs.
Exactly. There's a new executive order signed February 6th that targets countries doing business with Iran.
Okay, that sounds like a foreign policy issue. How does that affect a construction site in, say, Texas?
It affects it because one of the countries that could get hit is Turkey. And Turkey is a major exporter of rebar and structural steel to the U.S.
So we could lose a major source of our steel imports.
We could. And these tariffs are stackable, meaning they go on top of existing duties. It would basically make it impossible to import Turkish steel profitably.
So let me get this straight. You have insane price-insensitive demand from big tech on one side.
Mm-hmm.
Domestic mills are already struggling to keep up. They're sputtering. And now we might cut off a major source of imports.
It's a perfect storm for higher prices. The report even says customers are already facing allocations.
Allocations. This is a nice word for rationing, isn't it?
It is. The mills are telling you what you're allowed to buy. So even if you're a small contractor with less work, the cost of the work you do have is going up because all the steel is getting stuck into these AI mega projects.
That's the whole story right there. It's a split-screen economy. The small guys are getting squeezed from both ends, while the big guys are riding this massive tech-funded wave.
And it all comes back to that $185 billion bet from Alphabet. They're betting that AI is going to be as fundamental as electricity, and they're building the power plants for it right now.
Which brings us to the big, so what? What is the risk here? The whole construction industry seems to be getting propped up by the spending habits of just a few tech companies.
That's the monetization risk. Right now, investors are happy to lend for 100 years because they believe the returns on AI will be, astronomical. But we're in the build phase.
We're pouring the concrete.
We're pouring the concrete, but we don't know yet if the business model can actually pay for a $185 billion a year construction bill.
Right. If the AI bubble bursts or even just deflates a little.
That sanguine confidence in the construction market could evaporate overnight. If big tech pulls back on that spending, the floor falls out completely.
And the stability of this very tangible bricks and mortar industry is now tied to the risk appetite of the tech world.
That's it. Every one of those data centers you see going up, it's a physical bet on a digital future.
A 100-year bet in some cases. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening. Explore more at www.staalx.com.